Hello again everybody, I'm Paul the Nitro Scovers and welcome to this edition of the Nitro Corner. We got a huge show today, so let's dive right into it. Coming up later in the show, we'll talk about Summerslam, we'll talk about the four horsewomen, we'll talk about which four WWE superstars are lost in the shuffle, we'll talk about some 1CW news and some opinions about the Jimmy Snuka controversy, as well as the PWI 500. Does it ensure success for the number one ranked wrestler? But first, as always, we begin with the Newswire for this time. And we'll start with a huge WWE weekend took place in Brooklyn, New York. First, on Saturday night, August 22nd, was NXT's Takeover. The results are as follows. Jushin Thunder Liger defeated Tyler Breeze. The Vaudevillians scored a victory over Blake and Murphy to win the NXT Tag Team Championships. Apollo Crews made a great debut by beating Ty Dillinger. Samoa Joe defeated Baron Corbin in a very stiff bout. And then probably the match of the year, no doubt about it. This was a match of the year, one of the great moments in wrestling history, as Bayley defeated Sasha Banks to become the new NXT Women's Champion. I'll talk more about that later on in the Nitro Corner. And Finn Balor defeated Kevin Owens in a ladder match to retain his NXT title. Now, the very next night, of course, was SummerSlam 2015 in Brooklyn, New York. Let's begin with the opening matchup. After Jon Stewart, the host of SummerSlam, came out to a decent pop, but I'll talk about him later. In the first bout, Sheamus defeated Randy Orton in 12 minutes, 44 seconds with the bro kick. It was a very stiff match. In the second bout, the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team matchup, the New Day defeats the Primetime Players, Los Matadores, and the Lucha Dragons in 14 minutes, 14 seconds to become the new WWE Tag Team Champions. That was a pretty good match, by the way. In the third bout, Dolph Ziggler and Rusev battled to a double countout in 12 minutes and 10 seconds. That situation is far, far from over. In the fourth bout, in a surprise, Stephen Amell, who can wrestle, and I'll talk more about him in a second in our thumbs up, thumbs down segment, he and Neville defeated Stardust and Wade Barrett in 8 minutes and 20 seconds. In the fifth bout, the triple threat match for the Intercontinental title, Ryback defeats The Miz and The Big Show in 5 minutes and 35 seconds when Ryback defeated The Miz with the meat hook clothesline. Then in the sixth bout, tag team action saw Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns victorious over Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper in 17 minutes and 3 seconds. Very stiff bout between all four of these men. This situation indeed is far from over. And then in the seventh bout of the evening, title versus title, John Cena losing to Seth Rollins in 24 minutes exact when Seth Rollins nailed the pedigree on John Cena after interference from Jon Stewart. More about that in the thumbs up, thumbs down segment in just a moment. But Seth Rollins winning the United States title. The time, once again, 24 minutes exact. Then the three-team elimination match was up next. One of the best matches of the night as Paige, Charlotte, and I forget, PC, you'll have to excuse me, sometimes I forget, they beat Bad and Team Bella in a total time of 20 minutes and 6 seconds. One of the best bouts of the night in that 6-man bout. And then in the ninth bout, Kevin Owens continues to be red hot as he beat Cesaro in 15 minutes and 3 seconds. That was a pretty good bout. And then in the main event, probably the most controversial match in SummerSlam history, The Undertaker defeats Brock Lesnar in 19 minutes and 4 seconds with a triangle choke. But Brock Lesnar did have The Undertaker tap out with the armbar at around the 18-minute mark. The referee and the timekeeper had a issue with that. I still say it's controversial. We'll just see what happens down the road between these two men. And that was indeed SummerSlam 2015 on August the very next night, of course, August 23rd of 2015. And then after that, the next weekend, August 29th, 1CW in the house at the Carlisle Fire Department. And just a reminder, Hope you catch the 1CW Control Center that was out earlier this week, featuring the Kim Cup 2. I named the teams that are in it thus far, and plus some other great bouts. Make sure you check that out on my YouTube channel. Now, on to the results from the August 29th show. Russell Love Muscle and Lee Brando and Aaron Ridley defeat Alistair Conrad, Mike Water, and Rex Savage in the opening bout. Then Colossus defeat Frankie Flo. Christian York returned to 1CW as they defeated Crazy Ivan. The Rockin' Rebel and Adam Flash beat the Funkyard Dogs and winning the 1CW Tag Team Championships. Congratulations to them. Casey Carlisle defeated Ashley America to keep her women's title. Ryan Vox and Yams Working Man defeated the leaders of the New School. Great victory for them. Excuse me there. Then, in a lumberjack match, Grey Wolf pulls it off by beating Pretty Jimmy Dean for the new 1CW Roundup title. I'll have some late-breaking news later on about Grey Wolf that I did not put in for the 1CW Control Center, but you're going to hear it right here later on in the show. And then Sinister X defeated the Funky White Boy to keep the 1CW title. And then in the main event, Team Amy, the team of Kiko, Ty Awesome, Mike Massacre, and the Crazy Shay defeated Team Petch, Ravishing Ryan, Jai Cole, Muddy Waters, and Kindred in an 8-man tag team matchup. That was a tremendous event. $500 was raised to the Alfred L. Numerous Children's Hospital. Congratulations to 1CW on that. And that is your Newswire for this month. Moving on now, it's time for one of our favorite segments, Thumbs Up or Thumbs Down. Let's get right into it. Thumbs up, Stephen Amell. I have a tremendous amount of respect for his surprising ability. He got in there, took a beating like a man, came out on top, including that crazy dive off the top rope on both Stardust and King Barrett. Tremendous effort. Good work for Stephen Amell. The 4 horsewomen get a thumbs up this week. Match of the year, and then in the ending. What a beautiful moment it was in Brooklyn. And women's wrestling is indeed back, and they are leading the charge. I'll talk more about them in our next segment. Grey Wolf gets a thumbs up. Congratulations for Grey Wolf. Hard work. Determination pay off for Grey Wolf as he became the 1CW Roundup champion. Congratulations to him. And Casey Carlisle gets our final thumbs up this month. Whether you like her or whether you don't, folks, she has been champion for over 2 years. And yet the WWE has not signed her yet. Really? Casey Carlisle is one of the best independent wrestlers in the world today. And she will be at the next 1CW event on September 26th. Make sure you tune in to 1CW Control Center for more information about that. Now, thumbs down. Seth Rollins. The insecurity comes through again thanks to Jon Stewart. How much money did you pay this guy off to hit John Cena with a chair? Must have greased the palm tremendously for you to keep your title. And yet the insecurity keeps growing for Seth Rollins, who's now a double champion. We'll just see what happens down the road, whether this insecurity is going to end up costing him in the end. Thumbs down to Charles Robinson and the Timekeeper. Really, Charles? You didn't see the tap out? It was clear as day. The Timekeeper, yes, inadvertently rang the bell. You're not the referee, but the referee was also wrong in that. Charles, he tapped out. I saw it. The world saw it. You didn't see it? When you're going for a count, his shoulders were already off the mat at the half count. The half count. Really, Charles? Come on. Unreal. Team Bella, thumbs down. Oh, gee, if I keep hearing one more time that she now has the longest reigning Divas title reign in history, I'm going to puke, okay? Let me give you a fact, Nikki and Brie Bella and whatever. The Fabulous Moolah held the Women's Championship for over 10,000 days. You're not even close to that. So why are you harking on the fact that you're the longest reigning Divas champion of all time? Who cares? It's the women's title that matters, not the Divas title. Whatever. You can't wrestle. You run your mouth too much. You act like the Kardashians. Keep it real, will you? And finally, the New Day. Save the tables. How about save your careers? You suck. Your promos suck. You just suck. That's all. You suck. Yeah, you may have become tag team champions again, but please save the tables to yourself. And that's thumbs up, thumbs down for this month. Moving on now, let's talk some WWE news. Let's talk about SummerSlam and NXT Takeover. Which was better, SummerSlam or NXT Takeover Brooklyn? Well, based on match content, I say it was pretty much even. The card itself flowed good throughout the night. It was never a boring moment on either card. It was action-packed from top to bottom. So on match content, overall, it was pretty much even. The NXT gets the nod on the emotional content for just that one match. Bayley versus Sasha Banks. Think about that. That is going to be a moment that is going to be etched in time for a long, long time. No doubt the top moment of the year as far as I'm concerned, unless something comes along to top it, but I really doubt that that's going to happen anytime soon. Crowd reaction alone goes to NXT. It's much louder, more boisterous. They got to the point, and they had a good time. They were on the edge of their seat. Look at SummerSlam 3. Maybe with the women's triple threat tag team matchup, and maybe Kevin Owens. Have you seen any other type of heat that the audience gave you except the NXT? No. So by a slight edge, in my opinion, I'll give it to the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn as the better card that weekend. Speaking of NXT, let's talk about the four horsewomen for a minute. They are nothing but bringing respect and credibility to women's wrestling. I am thoroughly enjoying this. I am highly endorsing this because we got a champion here for over 2 years named Casey Carlisle that should have been called up a long, long time ago. But I digress. The four horsewomen: Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte, Becky Lynch. I apologize, Becky, for slipping your name off of my mind. You were involved in it. I highly apologize for that. But really, that one match between Bayley and Sasha proved that the four horsewomen are bringing back professional wrestling to a higher standard now. The Diva Revolution is a wrestling revolution. Well, notwithstanding Team Bella that can't wrestle worth a crap, Team Bad can wrestle because Sasha Banks is a member of the Four Horsewomen, and I'm not going to start denying it now. And they're having plenty of meaning in their matches. Look at the Triple Threat Ladies Tag Team matchup. That was tremendous. It was action-packed. Like I said, the Four Horsewomen, they're bringing respect and credibility, and I highly endorse them here on the Nitro Corner for women's wrestling. Women's wrestling is indeed back. Thank God for that. Now, speaking of, now moving on, there's a term that's been used in the wrestling magazines and in the wrestling press sometimes. It's called lost in the shuffle. These are wrestlers that are literally lost in the shuffle. Their career direction is not going down, but it sure as heck ain't going up. And I got four wrestlers on the WWE roster who I believe is just lost in the shuffle, and something needs to change. First off, it's Neville. Neville, yes, you got the win at SummerSlam, but where have you been, really? All you've been doing is feuding with Stardust, who, by the way, is another wrestler lost in the shuffle. What's the purpose in you two feuding? Is it some type of comic book thing or something? Really? You guys, every wrestler's striving focus is for a championship. And yet you're stuck in this intergalactic crap, which makes no sense, no heat whatsoever. You had to use Stephen Amell to get you some heat. Gentlemen, please, you're lost in the shuffle. You need a major boost or something in your career. Come on now. Next up, Los Matadores. Really? They're Puerto Rican wrestlers dressed as Mexican wrestlers. Please don't take that the wrong way as any type of racial thing, but Los Matadores is a good tag team. They need to take the mask off. Let's face facts. They need to take the mask off. They are from a good family. They're from the Colon family, the Carlos Colon family. let's face facts here, folks. Los Matadores is a lost idea. They need to take the mask off and go back to the way they were. They were good as part of the Colon family, which they are. They need to focus on being themselves. That's why they're lost in the shuffle, because it's a lost cause. And finally, I hate to say this in the Diva division because she's a member of the famous Hart family, but Natalya. I have not seen her compete on television in how long? And yet she's on Total Divas. You need to get out of the Total Divas thing and start focusing on your career here a little bit, because unfortunately you're down here and the Diva Revolution's up to about here. If you want to be a part of it, you got to raise your level. That's why Natalya is kind of lost in the shuffle as far as I'm concerned. And that is your WWE news for this month. Moving on to 1CW, I want to talk about Grey Wolf. Hard work, determination is paying off. But is he ready for Sinister X? Well, I was going to say yes, but breaking news out of the official 1CW First State Championship Wrestling Facebook page, Grey Wolf got injured about a couple weeks ago and will not be at the September 26th show, and unfortunately he had to give up the Indie Roundup title, and that's kind of a setback for Grey Wolf. But I would say this, if he is healthy again, no doubt about it, he will be ready for Sinister X down the road, quite possibly next year. But first things first, he's got to get healthy. I don't know the extent of his injury, but he will be out for some time. He will not be at the September 26th show. And on a side note, 1CW has ruled that Pretty Jimmy Dean will get a return match, but against a mystery opponent that night on September 26th. That's an exclusive from the Nitro Corner to you guys. Pretty Jimmy Dean versus a mystery opponent for the 1CW Roundup title. There must be a winner in that one. But I wish Grey Wolf the best of luck in the near future. Hope he gets back healthy. When he does, I think he will be a serious threat not only to whoever the Indie Roundup champion is, but to Sinister X, the 1CW World Heavyweight Champion. Moving on now to some opinions now. First off, Jimmy Superfly Snuka was, of course, charged with third-degree murder. He was not arrested. I posted the video from Bill Apter clarifying that situation. Really, I don't want to get into too many legal terminology or any legal issues concerning that. It happened. I don't want to sway it either way, but this is a bad moment for Jimmy Snuka, who's battling cancer right now. And I can sympathize with the victim's family. Of course, this is a tragic happening in the world in their world, as they lost a family member, which is very devastating at best. As for Jimmy Snuka, I don't know where this is going to end up. He's already been released from his Legends contract in the WWE, and I'll just have to see down the road. I'll try to keep you all updated on my Facebook page about the Jimmy Snuka happening. But as far as the Nitro Corner is concerned, I will leave it up to the legal system to take care of this issue. But we'll keep you abreast as to what's happening. And finally, I want to talk about the PWI 500, because next month's Nitro Corner will be based on that, and I'll have more information later on in the show about that PWI 500. But I wanted to ask, does being the #1 wrestler in the PWI 500, which is excuse me, the most prestigious list that you can be on as far as being a professional wrestler goes, besides the Achievement Awards coming up at the end of the year when you're voting for it, but does it ensure success in the future? The answer is yes, and I got several examples of that. First off, in 1993 and 1994, Bret Hart was named the #1 wrestler, first wrestler to repeat at #1 in the PWI 500. And in each year, he held a championship. Bret Hart was the WWE World Heavyweight Champion in 1994 after he was ranked #1 in 1993. And then it happened again in 1995 when he won the WWE title after becoming the 1994's #1 ranked wrestler in the 500. Shawn Michaels voted number one wrestler in the PWI 500 in 1996. Excuse me there. He ended up becoming WWE champion in January 1997. 1999, Stone Cold Steve Austin was named the number one ranked wrestler in the PWI 500. And in 2001, it took him about 2 years, but in 2001, he became WWE champion. And then last year, in 2014, Daniel Bryan was named the number one wrestler in the PWI 500. He ended up becoming Intercontinental Champion at this past year's WrestleMania. So yes, it does ensure success in the future. Why? Because it is a confidence booster. You know you're the best. And now you want to go out there and prove you're the best. And this is exactly why there is success when you become the number one wrestler in the PWI 500. At least an 85% success rate amongst the number one wrestlers that were ever ranked number one in the PWI 500. As I said later in the show, I'll have more information about this year's PWI 500 as part of the Nitro Corner. We're going to take a time out. When we come back, it's part 2 of the Nitro Corner. I'll have the fantasy booker between Luke Harper and Bruiser Brody. And we'll have a flashback for the week of September 14th to September 26th of this year. And I'll talk about the next episode of the Nitro Corner. Until then, this is part 1. We're going to a commercial break. We'll be right back here on the Nitro Corner.